The Bermuda Triangle and its mysteries have disturbed humanity's sleep for centuries, since the Great Navigations and up till this day. In this video, we're going to explore the history of this legendary place, as well as some theories that try to explain what is happening over there, and even a possible cause for this great mystery and many absences. Well, tag along, because I'm Tiago Tadeo, and welcome to the Upside Down. Nowadays, after the emergence of the internet, practically everyone in the world has heard at some point about the Bermuda Triangle, with it being very present in different cultures, having a series of movies, books, and even research circulating around it as a subject. And no wonder, guys, this place is full of surprises and mysteries, having the most bizarre cases of disappearances you will ever see. The space that is known as the Bermuda Triangle is an area of approximately 500,000 square meters, located in the Atlantic Ocean, being very close to the coast of Florida, Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. Throughout history, at least 75 planes and thousands of ships disappeared after entering this area of the Atlantic Ocean, and of course, they never returned. To this day, little is known about these disappearances, and it will likely remain so for quite some time. It is not new that the Bermuda Triangle is known for its mysteries, since the legends run through centuries. There is a large collection of crazy theories that try to explain what is happening there, but of course, guys, no one has been able to be sure until now. To give you an idea, the oldest record of the legend of the Bermuda Triangle was made during the first expedition of Christopher Columbus to New Mexico. In a letter, Columbus described that he and his crew saw a large flare that sank to the bottom of the sea. Still in the same area, he reported seeing a strange light appearing in the distance, but it disappeared shortly afterward. A few years later, Shakespeare himself would be the first artist to produce a work involving the legend of the Bermuda Triangle with the play The Tempest, which told the story of a ship that sank there. But of course, the legends only really took hold in cultures around the world from the 20th century onwards. This happened because in the past, despite the legends already existing, ships disappearing was an extremely common thing since there were no sophisticated devices to guarantee the success of the journeys. Besides, nothing guarantees that missing vessels would just be somewhere new that they discovered, right? But with the arrival of more sophisticated technological devices, of course, the idea that there are still ships disappearing in the area has become much more absurd than it used to be. Now, the big metal ships were capable of withstanding even violent storms, so whatever was happening there would have to be pretty impressive indeed, right? One such case that became very famous at this time was that of the USS Cyclops. A vessel with 309 crew members, which in 1918 ventured towards the Bermuda Triangle. The thing that drew a lot of attention to this case was that the vessel was in radio contact with people outside, who reported that the ship simply stopped responding all of a sudden, and of course was never seen by anyone again. The most bizarre thing about it was that in that day nothing different had happened there that could have caused the ship to sink. There were no storms or anything else strange in that area. It was a clean and perfect day for this. In addition, the inspection of the vessel was up to date, with its record showing that it was in perfect condition when it left the port. As this incident took place on a date very close to the beginning of the First World War, the hypothesis that prevailed about the disappearance was that it had probably been sunk by a German attack. Yeah, guys, but what doesn't really support this theory is that after this incident, at least 74 more vessels had their disappearance registered in the area, with the most recent of which happening in 2015. That's right, guys. Even 7 years ago, the cargo ship Faro completely disappeared along with its 33 crew members, and of course, no traces of it have been found until this day. One of the theories that try to explain what happened in the Bermuda Triangle says that in reality, The place shelters the lost city of Atlantis, which would be in the depths and would be responsible for causing the shipwrecks. According to this theory, Atlantis was a place full of very advanced technologies, and that some of them could be resulting in the mysterious phenomenon. Well, as much as this theory has many believers, I want to know your opinion too, okay? Leave it down here in the comments. Another theory that brings much more data than the first one is the tone that says the cause of the disappearances is the fault of a hexagonal cloud that produces a phenomenon that can be called an air bomb. This event has already been recorded in several parts of the world and consistent of a cloud formation in which the speed of its winds becomes progressively higher, reaching hundreds of kilometers per hour. However, unlike them, this cloud ends up being released very quickly from the effect, but the accumulated energy results in a blast of air that would be able to bring down ships, and of course, overturning boats without any problem. A third theory that tries to explain what's going on there is called electronic fog. The idea was brought by one of the survivors of the Bermuda Triangle, pilot Bruce Jernon, who witnessed the phenomenon with 2 more passengers. They were flying over the area when they were caught in a violent cloud that caused all of their navigation devices to stop working, so he had to kind of travel there with only his sights. Luckily, and with a lot of experience, he knew how to orient himself and was able to get out of there alive. However guys, something very bizarre happened when they looked at their watches, seeing as the trip that should have taken 75 minutes to make, but only took 35 minutes instead. With that, he developed a theory that believes that this electronic fog propelled them through space or time. But while thinking about it now, can you also imagine the possibilities that their clocks may have only stopped ticking because they were interfered with? It's a possibility. Leave in the comments which of these you believe. But of course, the theories don't stop there, right? Come with me. Another theory that tries to solve the centuries-old mystery surrounding the Bermuda Triangle is known as the Supercurrents. In this theory, it is believed that tectonic and volcanic movements can occur in a unique way in the area, where they compete simultaneously in opposite directions. This ends up causing 2 tsunamis more than 10 meters high, which when colliding create a wall of water that would be able to reach up to 30 meters high. Of course, it sinks any ship there, right? And if you're thinking, but Tiago, what about the planes? Well, in that area, they usually fly at a lower altitude than the height that this wave would reach, so it could easily bump into it. But of course, I personally think that of all the theories so far, this is one of the least plausible. I'm saying, is El Dorado down there? I don't know. The city of Atlantis? I really don't know. Let's see. Of course, we wouldn't leave this theory out, right guys? It says that the events in the Bermuda Triangle are caused by UFOs. As I've already mentioned in this video, Christopher Columbus himself and his crew saw UFOs while exploring the area at a time when we hadn't even named them yet. Throughout history, several reports of sightings have been made public, and not just by civilians. There are a lot of them that are made directly by the military. Pilots who, well, report their sightings even when they're traveling over the speed of sound on their planes. Well, if in the triangle there is a kind of base and they have aircrafts that leave our fastest ones eating dust, it would be quite easy to hide it, and so is imagining that they managed to sink and knock anything over there. Well guys, it may be that recently we have finally found a definitive answer to what is happening in the famous Bermuda Triangle, and let me tell you, this answer seems as absurd as the other theories, okay? It directly involves the Earth's magnetic pole. For those who don't know, inside our planet there is pure magma that keeps boiling due to the immense pressure that the Earth's crust put on it. This magma layer is formed mainly of rocks, but there are a magnitude of mysteries that end up there. As they are mostly much denser, they tend to sink to the Earth's core, where they come into contact with other metals, and together, they form the planet's magnetic field. In other words, guys, the Earth is nothing more than a huge magnet. Oh, besides, this pole is very important so that we can live here on the planet peacefully. At all times, we are being bombarded by space radiation, mainly from the sun, such as UV light, and the magnetic field is responsible for protecting us from all this. By the way, I don't know if you know, but the aurora borealis are formed by radioactive particles coming from space that are stopped by the Earth's magnetic field. We can observe the shield it forms in real time, and with the naked eye from different parts of the world. Now guys, it's now that things get even more interesting. As much as the planet is relatively round in theory, it is not quite like that, and there is a brief flattening there on its circumference in addition to the numerous irregularities of terrain that make the magnetic field not always behave as it should. So this theory says that the geography of the Bermuda Triangle places it in a little bubble, where the magnetic field just doesn't work. This would be the result of two main factors. The first of them, as I said, is the geography of the area, which weakens the magnetic field. And the second factor would be an immense magnetized rock that may have come from some metallic meteorite from space and is in the subsoil of the area. That way, due to the proximity and fragility of the Earth's field in there, it ends up being stronger and becomes the strongest magnetic field in the area. Oh, and now a little question for you. What equipment do all ships and planes use since the beginning of the Great Navigation and is still extremely necessary up till this day? Yeah guys, if you said the compass, you're correct. That's right, it is crucial for any sea voyage until today, as it uses the attraction of its needle towards the Earth's magnetic North Pole to allow navigators to be able to know at all times the cardinal direction they are following. Knowing where the north is, you can find the south, east, west, and finally know which way to go to reach your destination. But as it depends on the Earth's magnetic pole to work, when you enter the Bermuda Triangle bubble, the compass would start pointing its needle towards the magnetic north there. So if you have no idea what's happening, you would just use your compass normally and end up going in circles in a radius around the triangle. So of course, if you were going on a plane, you would end up going around in circles until your fuel ran out, and of course you crashed. In the case of ships, what would run out would be the supplies. People would go crazy and would start getting into conflict or just suffering with the knowledge of their inevitable death. Especially if the journey was planned to be fast and there wasn't much food there, right? Think about it. When you're in the middle of the ocean, all sides 360 degrees are the same landscape, so without a compass or some solid ground for reference, it's practically impossible to stay on course, as the very currents of the waters would move you and force you to constantly correct your course. And this theory makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Especially when we think about the case of that surviving pilot I just mentioned. His knowledge may have been what allowed him to recognize that there was something wrong with his equipment, seeing as if he had merely followed the compass, he probably would have ended up like the others, missing. But tell me, did you find this explanation satisfactory? That's what we have for today. Leave your theory down here in the comments if you have it, and I'll see you in the next video. Be well, and until next time. Thanks.